It's July 14th and I'm popping in to show you something that I use with the kids to help with their handwriting. The twins are 4.5 now. They'll be 5 early November, and they were 7 weeks early. So that's a big developmental age difference than the average 4.5-year-old. But they are not delayed by far. A lot of things they are well advanced for their age. But something that I use for them to help them with their writing, and before I get into that, I want to say I don't enforce proper handwriting. Meaning we don't sit for hours or, even half an hour writing every day, okay? They do their main workbook where they have some writing, and if it's only one page that they do, that's what they do. Because I don't believe in frustrating a child, and it just, it burns them out to the point they don't want to do it anymore. So they pretty much will get their main workbook that they work in on their own and do it. I have no problem. Same thing with these journals. They will pick them up on their own, and they will say, look what I just wrote. And if it's one word, I'm fine with that. If it's one letter, I'm fine with that, because they're only 4.5. I see a lot of videos where there are 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds writing, and it's just not really necessary, and it's not very effective because they're really young and they haven't developed those fine motor skills fully to write. Usually I would say kindergarten, midway is when a child is able to form letters in a legible sense, and going into first grade is really when it's enforced that they are completing a sentence on a line, so it's somewhat legible to where you don't have to kind of decode. But yeah, I see too many, and it just kind of makes me wonder what's going on, because having a child sit down and learn how to, or practice handwriting, same thing with reading, practice that at an early age is only going to retard them in other areas in the long run. It's something that not every child will pick up on. Some kids, I'm not saying that okay, because somebody's going to come back and say, well, my kid, okay, that's fine. But most kids are not like that. Most kids are not going to pick it up, because that's just how we're wired. You walk at a certain time, you talk at a certain time, you learn how to hold, utensils at a certain time, because that's how we were developed. So we're developed not to learn that until later on, because there are other things that you have to do to get to that process. Okay, reading. I myself learned how to read when I was 15 months. Or not 15 months. I was potty trained at 15 months. I'm sorry. And that's why I've started my kids early. But that's another topic. I learned how to read on my own when I was 3. I was reading signs. And I wasn't really taught. I just could recognize and call the letters, and I just started reading. And somebody said, hey, this girl is reading. And so I was reading, and it turned into books. My kids, my older kids, learned how to read when they were 3. And they would just pick up books and bring them to me and read. And I thought, wait a minute. I didn't even think they were ready, but they were reading the books. And so I had to then make sure that they had the right material, make sure they were equipped to teach them efficiently, efficient phonics wise, to make sure they were able to continue reading on the context level that they would understand, because things get more complex as you read. It wasn't just sight words they were reading. They were reading chapter books. When it came to writing, again, we did a lot of coloring and just freehand drawing, paper without the lines, paper with lines, notebook paper, just to let them get familiar with writing. And I didn't give them the paper and say, hey, you have to do this, and this is how you do it, and I didn't erase it if they did it wrong. It just didn't matter, because eventually the more they wrote, they developed it and they learned, okay, this is the proper way. But I gave them a tool, okay? So this is my son's notebook, okay, or his journal. And so what I introduced to them a while ago that they're now pretty much getting into is what I call Clever Cat. It's old teacher's trick, okay? Try to get that shadow out of the way. As you see, Clever Cat's ears sit above the top line, okay? So if you see right here, his body is in a perfect line with the lines on the paper, okay? This is just a craft stick, a wide craft stick, okay? So just get a bunch of these and line it up on the page and draw the cat. You want to make sure you get this base line under his body, because that's the line that lines up with the bottom line. Yours may not be red, but it lines up with that third line, okay? His middle lines up with the dotted line, and his head lines up with the top solid line, okay? So you can see he's pretty good. But not every time does his name come out like this. He's really mastering his name, and that's all that's important right now. You can see Clever Cat's tail is lined up with that top, the next solid line, and so his cue, let me move my hand, is right on point. And it took him some time to get it, but he's got it. And so when he works in his workbooks, we don't spend an extensive amount of time. If they only do a page in their workbook, they have one main workbook, and the rest of them are just practice. But they get their books, and they, for the most part, write very neatly. Whatever it is they're writing. And if they don't write neatly, I don't worry about it, because I know their capability at this point. So, another way to use Clever Cat is as a spacer, okay? You put it there at the last letter. Teach them to start the next word on this side of Clever Cat, okay? You can use them as bookmarks or what have you. So we take Clever Cat and put them in their pencil pouch. I keep some just on my in my own pencil pouch. That way I can hand them out. They lose them, because they will get lost. But yeah, my drawing is not the best. Just different colors. So get some craft sticks and practice making Clever Cat. Do not write anything on them, because that will confuse them. They'll be trying to line up letters because they see letters. If you want to write it on the back. But don't write, I don't recommend writing their name on them or anything. It just kind of confuses them. Just a cat. So, if you guys have any tricks, tips, if you'd like to see anything else like this, I plan to go more into videos on just methods that I use that, are pretty much tried and true. For my kids. I know everybody's different. Everybody has different methods. But if you're interested, stay tuned and subscribe. I'll be back.